someone who lives in New York and people airdrop you stuff on the train, on the subway all the time.
Does it happen to you a lot?
Yes. Like it happens like maybe like once a quarter.
What's the weirdest thing you've been airdropped?
They're usually not weird though. They're usually like some people do like party invites, but then that's kind of weird because you don't know where you're going.
Like a rave or something?
Yeah. That happens a
Bad.
lot.
I mean,
Rave on the subway.
A rave invite for sure.
Damn.
I'll hit it up. Yeah.
But now after watching this, I'm like, you don't know what that might mean. So.
Well, it's true. It could definitely be a trick for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely taking a risk showing up to that address.
Listen, I mean, maybe just go with backup or like maybe
party for two. Doesn't matter what you wear.
a two person. But,
It's not gonna wear your face.
Hope you brought your skin suit.
This film was definitely like a treat from start to finish. And Meghann, I know that there's a serious element to it too, like talking about domestic violence and abuse. I want to know, did you happen to do any sort of research outside of that or any sort of consultations on how to make sure that this story was very accurately represented from someone who has trauma? Sherry Mangum with Blavity. Hello, Meghann and Brandon. How are you both doing today?
Good,
Hi.
thanks. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to chat with you today. This film had me stressed.
Yeah.
I was on the edge of my seat, like just from start to finish. I was like, I don't know if I've been this tense in a movie in a long time, and this one did it.
Yeah, it's
and
stressful.
as someone who lives in New York and people airdrop you stuff on the train, on the subway all the time.
Does it happen to you a lot?
Yes. Like it happens like maybe like once a quarter.
What's the weirdest thing you've been airdropped?
They're usually not weird though. They're usually like some people do like party invites, but then that's kind of weird because you don't know where you're
Like
going.
a rave or something?
Yeah,
Interesting.
that happens a
Bad.
lot.
I mean,
Rave on the
a
subway.
rave invite for sure.
Damn.
I'll hit it up. Yeah.
But now after watching this, I'm like, you don't know what that might mean. So.
Well, it's true. It could definitely be a trick for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely taking a risk showing up to that address.
Listen, I mean, maybe just go with backup or like maybe
Party for two. Doesn't matter what you wear.
a two person. But,
It's not gonna wear your face.
Hope you brought your skin suit.
But this film was definitely like a treat from start to finish. And
Thanks.
Meghann, I know that there's a serious element to it too, like talking about domestic violence and abuse. I want to know, did you happen to do any sort of research outside of that or any sort of consultations on how to make sure that this story was very accurately represented from someone who has trauma?
Yeah, for sure. I did do that, and Chris and I spoke a lot about it beforehand, and there have been some personal experiences sort of, in the group of people that were discussing it. So we definitely wanted to make sure that we were, telling that story in a way that felt really truthful and, just the right way, which it's, always hard to do that. But I think, I hope that people will think that we did that, because it was definitely something that was really important to us that we did think about a lot and talk about a lot.
This is a film where it's pretty contained. It's set within this one night, and then even most of your scenes are just like at the table.
Yeah, in real time,
like in real time. So what was it like being able to? I guess there's some kind of ups the ante as far as the thrills, because it's so contained. And how it was like for you just to be kind of in that zone for most of the film, but still having different parts. I guess your character having different impacts elsewhere as well.
It was an interesting sort of acting exercise. That was honestly one of the, beyond working with Meghann, and I've always loved Chris's films. I'm a big fan of the horror genre and the thriller genre in general, and but taking it from like the acting aspect of it and the challenge of trying to keep tension and reveal plot points with very little physical behavior and movement, just basically in your face and how you're reacting, and also trying to mislead the audience at the same time with those really subtle looks and how you hold something or say a line, or was a really fun exercise and like a crafty little challenge that I really liked. I enjoyed it. It's because it is so contained. It's just me looking at her face for 70 pages, sitting at this table, and finding ways to tightrope that in a way that felt interesting and propelled the plot while not being contrived and unmotivated. Everything needs to be motivated. So I really enjoyed that, just from a technical aspect.
Yeah, and it's like advancing the plot, but like you're sitting in this one space.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
But having to
It's
do
not
that.
like, oh, I can walk across the room and
Yeah.
slam a cup or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
like, it's all here. And when you know, like as an actor, when you're in that pocket, it's like the best feeling in the world when you're
Yeah.
really connected to your scene partner and you're hyper present.
Yeah.
I love that feeling more than anything in the world.
Yeah, that's like the whole point.
It's like, yeah, and to spend so much, and she's the best. So she's phenomenal. She's such a great actress, and she had such a hard job in this film to maintain this, because all I have to do is this, but she's got this phone.
He's never gives
same
himself
time.
enough credit, ever. He's always saying how easy it was and how little he had to do, but I think that his part was really difficult because he's basically on the receiving end for most of the film. And I think in a lesser actor's hands, it would have been way less nuanced and thoughtful. And, you know, you brought so much to the role, so many layers and so much warmth to the character. You know, he wasn't just like some dud who was sitting on a date for like why is this guy staying here? Yeah. When you watch Brandon do it, you're like, oh, I get it. Like there's, you know, so.
Thanks.
Quit saying that.
I enjoyed this film so much. This was one film where I tried to not watch as much as the trailer as possible.
Right.
The only thing I remember is the scene where Meghann is like dangling. That's the one scene I remember. But other than that,
It's hard to forget that.
Yeah, so I didn't really know much about like the drop concept until recently. And I was like, oh, that's what this movie is about.
That's
so
awesome.
I enjoyed it so much. I wanted to know for this film, it's a more serious thriller as opposed to, I know the past few films you've done have been more kind of like in the horror comedy territory. So I always like to kind of get back to more serious thriller with this project.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely jonesing for a bit of a change and a pivot. I really did feel like I'd done the horror comedy thing, and it's not to say that I still don't love it, which I do. But the movie sort of met the moment for me, you know, and the mood that I was in. And so, yeah, it was really nice to make something that's a little bit more serious, a little bit darker, but still I think has a lot of the sort of hallmarks of things that I've done in the past. You know, of course, there's still humor. I think there's a lot of heart. I think there's a message. But it's all kind of wrapped up in a more sort of like, classic suspense thriller.
I know that this is a film where it has serious subject matter and it talks about domestic violence and abuse. How do you think this film kind of integrates those themes without being, for lack of a better term, gimmicky and handling it with care?
Yeah.
Because it could be just like injected in the film and not really done well.
I mean, I think it's, first of all, it's a critical component of the movie, and it is Violet's story. It's something that I take very seriously, and I have been very close to some people who've been through similar situations. And so I think we collectively approached the subject matter with an enormous amount of empathy and seriousness, but also thought that it was an important issue to kind of put out there and talk about.
What do you think is the importance of this film just being being contained and like set within like this one night? How do you think that ups the ante as far as the thrills?
I think it just adds to the claustrophobia and sort of the pressure and the suspense of the movie, because you realize there is a certain ticking clock element to the movie, and so the audience feels like, oh my God, like how is she gonna get out of this? It feels like an impossible, unwinnable situation, and it's all compressed into this one night at this one date. So yeah, I think that's what makes the movie click.